Welcome to the channel, everybody. Now today we're diving into a topic that's about as fun as a root canal with no anesthesia: racial discrimination. Specifically, the top 10 countries where if you happen to be a lovely shade of melanin, life can feel like an uphill battle against a hurricane of prejudice. Now before we get started, a disclaimer: we're not here to point fingers or shame anyone. This video is based on reports, studies, and sadly, lived experiences. Our goal? To shine a light on these issues, because pretending they don't exist, yeah, that helps absolutely nobody. So buckle up, grab your mental helmets, because we're about to get real uncomfortable real quick. But hey, sometimes the truth needs a little airtime, even if it makes folks squirm in their seats. Let's start with country A, a nation with a history so deeply intertwined with racial injustice, it's practically a double helix. We're talking centuries of colonialism, where certain folks decided their skin color granted them VIP access to exploiting an entire continent. And the legacy of that? Still felt today. We're talking systemic racism baked into institutions, from education and healthcare to the very laws of the land. It's like trying to bake a cake with salt instead of sugar. The recipe needs a serious overhaul. Next up we have country B, a place that might seem progressive on the surface, but scratch a little deeper and you'll find some ugly truths lurking beneath. We're talking about those subtle, insidious forms of discrimination. The side eye when you walk into a store. The job interviews that magically disappear when they see your name. It's the kind of racism that doesn't make the headlines, but it eats away at you slowly, like a termite infestation in your soul. It's death by 1,000 paper cuts, and it's exhausting. Country C, oh boy, where do we even begin? This is a place where discriminatory policies are practically government-issued, like a complimentary travel brochure on how to treat certain citizens like second-class citizens. We're talking laws that disproportionately target minority communities, voter suppression tactics that would make a dictator blush, and economic disparities wider than the Grand Canyon. It's almost impressive in a tragic, how are you still getting away with this kind of way. Chapter 4. Country D, Living While Black, a Survival Guide. Now let's hear from the people who know this reality best. Black people living in Country D. Their stories are a mix of resilience, frustration, and sadly, often, fear. Imagine living in a country where your skin color makes you a target, where you have to think twice about the clothes you wear or the music you listen to, just to avoid unwanted attention. It's like walking through life on eggshells, constantly aware that you could be perceived as a threat simply for existing. Chapter 5. Country E, From Whispers to Roars, the fight for equality. But amidst all the darkness, there are glimmers of hope. In Country E, we've seen powerful movements rise up, demanding justice and equality. From student-led protests to nationwide demonstrations, people are standing up and saying, "Enough is enough." These are the voices of a generation tired of empty promises and systemic oppression. They are the change makers, the ones who refuse to be silenced any longer. Chapter 6. Country F, Media Mirror Reflections of Bias. Now, let's talk about the media, shall we? In Country F, the way black people are portrayed in the media, well, let's just say it leaves a lot to be desired. From stereotypical portrayals in movies and TV shows to biased news coverage, it's clear that the media has a powerful role to play in shaping perceptions. And when those perceptions are rooted in prejudice and fear, well, you can see how that creates a vicious cycle. It's like looking at yourself in a funhouse mirror, distorted and inaccurate. Now, Country G is an interesting case. They've managed to attract the attention of the international community, and not in a good way. We're talking sanctions, condemnations from human rights organizations, the whole shebang. It's almost like they're competing for the most backwards on race relations award. Spoiler alert, nobody wins in that competition. Chapter 8, Country H, Baby Steps, Initiatives to Combat Discrimination. But hey, not all is lost. In Country H, we're seeing some positive steps being taken to address racial discrimination. From diversity training programs to initiatives promoting equal opportunities, there's a growing awareness that things need to change. Now, are these efforts perfect? Absolutely not. But they're a start. And sometimes, that's all you can ask for. It's like trying to turn an ocean liner around. It takes time, effort, and a whole lot of willpower. Chapter 9. Country 1, Unpacking the Roots, Cultural and Societal Factors. Now, to truly understand racial discrimination in Country 1, we need to dig deeper into its cultural and societal fabric. We're talking about historical prejudices, religious beliefs, and social hierarchies that have been passed down through generations. It's like a tangled ball of yarn. You can't just address one strand, you have to unravel the whole thing to truly understand its complexities. Chapter 10, Country J, The Long Road Ahead, A Glimmer of Hope. Finally, we arrive at Country J. The situation here is complex, with a long history of racial tensions and systemic inequalities. But even in the face of these challenges, there are individuals and organizations working tirelessly to create a more just and equitable society. The road ahead is long, and the journey won't be easy, but with continued dialogue, education, and a commitment to change, there's always hope for a brighter future. Outro: challenging discrimination, our collective responsibility. That was a lot, right? And we've only just scratched the surface. Racial discrimination is a global issue, and it's on all of us to educate ourselves, challenge our own biases, and work towards a more just and equitable world. If you found this video even remotely eye-opening, please hit that like button, share it with your friends, your family, your neighbor's pet parrot. Everyone needs to be part of this conversation, and most importantly, let's keep talking. Share your thoughts in the comments below. Let's keep this dialogue going, because silence, yeah, that's never the answer.